Hello everyone, Canon Lowy here with another episode of World of Tanks Basics, and this time we will be covering the autoloader system. And this autoloader system is most commonly found on the French vehicles. The French tank, all of the lines actually, from Tier 8 through Tier 10 on most of these, there is an autoloader system. So what does an autoloader look like? Well, when it says magazine loading system, that means it has a magazine to it, obviously. So what things to take away from is the number of shells in a magazine, the time for loading in between shells, or also called the inter-clip reload, and also how long it takes for all of the shells to be loaded. So for an example, the Foch B, which is a good example, is 38 seconds you need to wait in order to load its 6 shells, and then you need to load, the time in between shells is 2 seconds, so it takes you 10 seconds, since the first shell is already loaded, to fully unload your damage in a clip. And all of this information is very crucial to know for knowing which engagements you should go against and which you should not, especially knowing how much potential damage you can do. For an example, 400 times 6 is 2400 average damage. So if you penetrate all of your shells, you should do roughly 2400 damage average to any opponents that you meet across all of 6 shells. Obviously some can bounce, but if you do penetrate all of them, that is how much damage they do. So autoloaders have, their main drawback is of course their extremely long loading time, which for the Foch 155 that I'll be playing a game in has a 50-second reload time before you can actually fire any shells at all. So basically you fire off all your shells and you're not able to really do anything for that entire loading time. Something like an AMX-50B has only 30 seconds. Usually the loading time is based on how much potential damage you do. For an example, this one is 1600 damage and you have a 30-second reload time, and the Foch B has 38 seconds with a 2400, even though that it's a tank destroyer, so that's kind of why its damage per minute is a lot higher than the AMX-50B, and that's why it's not that much longer. But usually, the higher the potential damage of your clip, the longer the reload is. Some other autoloaders to keep into account is the T-71, the T-69, the T-54E1, and the T-57 heavy tanks. I don't think Germany has really any autoloaders for the higher tiers. Same thing with Russia and Britain. It's pretty much mainly France, with a few exceptions, like the Czech tanks. You do get an autoloader for the tier 9 and 10. A lot of autoloaders that you do see are on lower tier vehicles. I'm just kind of keeping it mainly focused on the higher tiers and which higher tier vehicles have it. But a lot of lower tiers, if I can actually find one, use autoloaders as well. The Cruiser 2, like for an example, this pom-pom on the Cruiser 2 has four different shells, 5.5 seconds of reloading time, and 0.5 seconds in between shells. So you do commonly see them on lower tier vehicles, roughly from tier 1 through 4 at the very least. But for the most part, for the higher tiers, it's mainly the French that have autoloaders. Like even the artillery have an autoloader, even though its autoloader isn't really that great, but it's still an autoloader. So there is that. One thing to keep in mind when you're using an autoloader is that for equipment, you cannot put a gun rammer on there. Usually gun rammers are the best equipment that you can load on vehicles that you're actually going to put equipment on, and they reduce your reloading time by 10%. which would be really good for an autoloader because it would reduce your long reload by 10%. But you cannot actually load gun rammers on auto-loading vehicles unless it's very specific. Like, for an example, I think the AT7 starts out with an autoloader for its stock gun. It's the first gun that you get, and you can have a gun rammer on this, so it does reduce the loading time by 10%. But since it's since the gun, the very highest tier gun, isn't an autoloader, it can use a gun rammer on it. So I think that's pretty much everything that I need to say about autoloaders in the garage. So let's go to a battle. Garage, I don't know. Usually tank destroyers that do have autoloaders are extremely deadly and have over 2,000 potential damage. The Foch B has 2,400, this Foch 155 has 2,250. So if you ever see I think the Foches are pretty much the only autoloading tank destroyers right now, since the Waffenträger LV100 was removed from the NA server. So if you do see these tanks, keep in mind that they're autoloaders, and if you stay in their line of fire for very long, you are going to get decimated. So we're on Siegfried Line, it looks like, and there's only 3 tier 10s once again, which is kind of lucky. My other few episodes I have of World of Tanks Basics, I've been one of the few tier 10s in the entire list, with only 3 tier 10s on each side, and that's kind of lucky because I think more often than not there's actually a lot of tier 10s that play. So, and there you can see the 40-second plus reload on this tank. So as soon as I fire my 3 shells, I'm going to be unable to do anything for 40 plus seconds. So, but like I was saying, usually I would think that I would get a type of match where there's mainly tier 9s or all tier 10s in some cases. And I'm going to keep in the back here until I reload, because I wouldn't be able to shoot at them anyway. Usually, even the French tank destroyers, they don't really have that amazing of armor in the front because of their viewport weak point. So you can't. Well, you can go ham and try to unload your clip as fast as possible, but I tend to keep somewhat in the back so that I can keep my gun in the game as much as I can. And they don't really have the best of gun depression either. So I'm aiming at this T-44. Complete miss, but as you can see, the reload in between shells is 5 seconds. So I got another one loaded already. Unfortunately, I'm not able to take advantage of that whatsoever. The accuracy on the Foch 155 in particular is really not the greatest. It says 0.36, which is decent enough, but I gotta say that it's almost guaranteed for me to miss my at least one of these shells. I don't know why that is. Anyway, enough about the tank. More focus on the autoloader, so let's, as soon as one of these people spot some more, and you can't really make snapshots in this thing, unfortunately. If I was in a lower caliber tank destroyer, like a Badger or something, I would be able to make some of these snapshots. And look at that, that wasn't really that close either. I guess I wasn't exactly fully aimed, but oh, there we go. 800 damage, that's what I'm talking about. So now we're out of the game for 40 seconds. So this is kind of what playing an autoloader is like, especially one with a reload as long as this, is that as soon as you do your shells, you're just not able to do anything, and you might as well just stay in cover and hope there isn't any artillery in your game to try to shell you as much as possible while you're reloading. And also, when you get stunned, just like your reload time on single shot guns, it is decreased by roughly 30%. So for a long reload, if you just start a long reload of 45 seconds with the Foch 155 and you get stunned, it's going to increase to probably at least 60 seconds. So if you can, try and, obviously sometimes you can't help it, but if you can, try not to get stunned as much as possible. That shot wasn't exactly fully aimed, but I'll take it. And since the Centurion's turret got mega buffed, I'm not evidently able to penetrate him. And they know I'm here, so that's kind of why they haven't rushed this 50B yet, I think. Only have one shell left. This Conqueror is thinking about it, but he knows I'm here as well. Just barely able to penetrate his turret. But now I'm out of the game again with a 38 seconds left of reloading. And I am obviously using standard ammunition. If I use premium ammunition, which has completely overpowered penetration of 395, I could penetrate through any of these guys, even that Conqueror. He has some spaced armor, but honestly, if you have 400 penetration, that's not really going to make a whole lot of difference, in my opinion. So, almost reloaded again. And our team is kind of mopping up too. I didn't really feel like making that shot. I didn't think I had enough time to aim there. I mean, I'll let the T-44 do it again if he wants, but I haven't really been doing particularly well in this match. But like I said, for the Foch 155, it feels like you are almost guaranteed to miss at least one of your shells, if not more, because I don't know what the deal is, but the accuracy is not really that great, and the aiming time is awful. But anyways, let's try to rush this Centurion, since there's almost no targets left, and why not? It's kind of what an autoloader's supposed to do in some cases, isn't it? I don't know what he got by. That was a lot of damage. Hello. See, look at that. I can just ram this guy, I guess. See, I'm getting robbed of damage. So much. I'm just gonna reload. Oh, one important thing that I forgot to mention about autoloaders is that pressing the C key allows you to manually reload, which means, let's just say, like I was, if I only have one shell and I'm not gonna fire at anybody within 45 seconds, I might as well reload the entire clip, right? Well, pressing the C key allows you to do that. Now you have to keep in mind, obviously, that if you do want to press the C key, if there's any enemies nearby, you won't be able to shoot them, of course, since it takes away the shell that you have in your clip. So use with caution. See, look at that. I don't even know what I shot at, but that was not even close to the IS-7. See, look at that. I know I was shooting on the move, but that is ridiculous. I finally bounced a shell, but still, that is absurd. And I'm not gonna bounce a T30. I'm not even gonna be close. But there again, I am reloading for another 25 seconds, so... Wow, this battle has been going on a long time. Maybe if this T30 is going to just sit there and reload. I don't know where the T30 is, but... just kind of waiting for him to fire. Now we can show the power of an autoloader. Hello, I'm already reloaded. There we go. And I somehow managed to get 5 kills. I know that Centurion 1 and that T-44 I barely did anything for. But hopefully this showcases what autoloaders are capable of. In the right situation, and if your gun actually cooperates, you can manage to do massive amount of damage in a short amount of time, as long as you have the amount of time in order to actually reload every single time, because in many cases in that battle I only fired 1 shot that actually hit, and that kind of ruins the point of being in an autoloader. So yeah, that T-30 should have, I mean, shot 1 shot in the tracks doing no damage, and then to waste the other 2 shells in order to finish him off. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with the Foch 155, but the gun absolutely refuses to hit anything unless there's nowhere else the shell to go. I don't know. The T95 did a lot better than me, and I'm in a autoloader tank, so that's kind of disappointing. And of course, since I'm not using a premium account, I lost credits on that. Decent amount of experience though, 940 times 2. So especially that IS-7, full side of the tank, and it's got to shoot over it. Just doesn't want to hit anything. So hopefully this showcases what an autoloader is kind of like. You have a lot of capabilities of doing massive amount of damage in a short amount of time, but at the same time you have to actually hit your shots, make sure that you have somewhere to run away to while you reload, or have teammates that can back you up in order to have that, be able to reload again, and having that damage capability, that burst damage, to dish it out in a short amount of time. So, but yeah, I guess that also showcased the AMX-50 Foch 155's gun and how unreliable it is. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was somewhat useful to you in showing off what autoloaders are kind of like, and if you like that playstyle. And thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.